So, first tonight, hundreds of relieved travellers are at last back on English soil after the chaos caused by the Icelandic volcano. Ash clouds still hang in the air, though, over much of northern Europe, meaning flights to and from our region are still grounded.
But several busloads of holidaymakers have made it back to Leeds Bradford Airport after a marathon 34-hour journey from Spain. And Jet2 say they'll continue to use buses to bring home thousands more stranded customers over the next few days. Fraser Maud reports.
Back on home soil, tired but greatly relieved, these holidaymakers have been bussed back from Barcelona to Leeds Bradford Airport after a foreign trip they'd rather forget.
We left the hotel 3:30 a.m. Monday morning, travelled from Barcelona, overland coach, shattered.
Barcelona was just chaos. I went into the centre and went to the main rail station, but it was just heaving with people, and there's a train strike on in France, so there's no chance of getting, a train.
We flew out with Jet2, and Jet2 contacted us yesterday morning to say they were sending a coach to our hotel to pick us up, and they've taken charge of everything from there.
That must be a great relief for you with this many students.
Yes, it was, yes.
We've been travelling all day, all night with all the children and pushchairs and everything, so it's been very tiring.
I think we were one of the lucky ones, really. When you hear some of the other stories, I think we got quite lucky.
Did it take a long time?
Yeah.
Would you rather go by coach or fly?
Fly.
For the sixth day running, planes at Leeds Bradford, Doncaster and Humberside airports have been grounded once again. Earlier hopes of flights operating from Leeds Bradford this afternoon were dashed by the ash cloud spreading across the UK. Airline and tour operator Jet2 are one of the few companies to have begun the process of bringing their customers home. 18 busloads of tourists have arrived back today, and they've managed to get one of their stranded aircraft out of Britain to help their recovery efforts.
That's on its way to Sharm el-Sheikh, which obviously is below the ash levels, so we'll be operating that 757 as a ferry aircraft to bring passengers to a hub, which will be in northern Spain or southern France, and from there on we'll take them by coach to the UK if the airspace is still shut. If the airspace is open, then obviously we'll operate as normal and bring passengers back on the aircraft.
But with the Icelandic volcano continuing to spew forth thousands of tons of ash every day, and with little change in wind directions, it'll most likely be days or even weeks before normal service can be resumed.
Fraser Maud reporting there. Well, that all sounds extremely bleak news for passengers around the world who are now running out of money and patience, as John Hill reports.
Even as some travellers arrived back in our region today, like these who took a bus and a ferry from Dublin to Leeds, thousands more are still far from home. Bradford head teacher Des Martin and Helen Smith, who's from York, sent us this video. They're stuck in Goa in India and say the hotel they've been moved to by their tour company is dirty and infested with rats.
Everybody here has booked a fortnight holiday in a 3-star plus all-inclusive in Goa. The Olympic guests have been displaced to a 2-star bed and breakfast. And in the words of the Olympic holiday rep, if we didn't move to this 2-star bed and breakfast, they would wash their hands of us.
In response, Olympic Holidays says it's not obliged to accommodate clients who are stranded, but it has done so and selected a lower grade but respectable accommodation for them during this indeterminate delay. Michelle Inman and her family from Pontefract have been stranded in Spain since last Thursday, when they'd been due to fly home. They've now had to make alternative plans.
So we had to try to make other transport arrangements as we couldn't afford to stay any longer as money was running out. We managed to rally 47 people together to raise enough money and arrange for Hunter's Coach Company from Leeds to come and rescue us.
Thomas Mollart from Sheffield should have flown home from France last Friday. He's finally back in Britain after a ferry journey from Roscoff to Plymouth.
So I've got a 6-hour ferry, and then I've got to wait here for 3 hours, and I've got a 7-hour bus journey to London, and a 2-hour wait, and then a 5-hour bus journey to Sheffield again.
Despite criticisms the authorities are overreacting, the Prime Minister is adamant flight restrictions are necessary.
I'm determined that safety comes first. I think everybody knows that when you have volcanic ash in the atmosphere, it creates a danger for the planes. All the advice has been that you have got to be absolutely vigilant about how and when you allow flying.
In Santander in northern Spain, these British travellers were lucky enough to get on board the rescue ship HMS Albion, part of the so-called Spanish Armada. Experts say practical travel difficulties bring with them psychological problems as well.
It's very difficult for people to actually be sure what's the best course of action, and that's going to be particularly difficult for people with a high need for control and for people with important business or family commitments that they need to get back for.
One traveller with a pressing engagement, but who's stuck and still laughing, is Yorkshire comedian Billy Pearce, here in Jamaica. Billy insists he'll be back in time for a charity concert at Batley Variety Club next week.
I'll tell you, you do not want to know what Billy was saying from his holidays, but we do keep it mute for you there. But for the latest on when our region's airports could be cleared for takeoff, we can now go live to Leeds Bradford International Airport and the commercial director, Tony Hallwood, who's there for us this evening. What do you know about the latest departure times that may come up, Tony? Is it going to be tomorrow, the day after? What do you know?
Well, first of all, although there are no flights here this evening at Leeds Bradford, we remain confident that we will hopefully have some flights tomorrow afternoon. We're waiting for the latest update from NATS in terms of the volcanic cloud, and we remain working closely with our airline partners to get flights in the air tomorrow.
You must be so disappointed, though, because you were so confident that today would be the day to at least start to get things moving again.
Yes, of course, safety is of paramount importance, and we will not encourage airlines to fly given the present conditions. Once we get the go-ahead, however, we remain confident we'll be back in the skies, and I remain confident that will be at some stage tomorrow. This evening we'll have 9 coaches who will return from Spain with Jet2 holiday passengers on board, and of course there'll be further rescue flights going out tomorrow.
I was just going to say, that is the good news, that the airlines have done their bit to try and get people home, and they're arriving at the airport all the time.
Well, it's fantastic. The jet2.com guys have worked very hard to make sure those passengers can get home as quickly as possible. And further rescue flights, I'm sure, will be planned over the next 24 hours once the airspace is opened.
Tony Hallwood at Leeds Bradford International Airport, thanks very much indeed. I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again tomorrow.
Well, our deserted skies mean business is booming for the ferry companies at the Port of Hull.
And the ferry companies are not the only ones in the city who are benefiting from the crisis, as David Hurst now reports.
Heading to Europe tonight, many of these ferry passengers arriving a short time ago at King George Dock, as desperate to leave these shores as the thousands of Brits wanting to come home.
So I'm heading back to Australia. I live there. I've just been in the UK for about a week and a half, and I was supposed to fly out on Saturday from Newcastle. So I'm taking a punt. I'm crossing over to the continent, trying to get to Rome, and I've got a flight out of Rome.
We were supposed to fly from Liverpool to Geneva and to Wisconsin.
So you're grateful for the ferry?
Yeah.
So where are you going?
We're going to Belgium.
The misery for air passengers caused by the volcanic cloud has led to unprecedented demand for travel on the high seas. P&O Ferries say the number of people wanting to buy ferry tickets at this time of the year is around 4,500 a day. But in the past week, that shot up to 32,000 a day, which is running at peak summer season levels.
Obviously, we're getting people coming from a long way away. I mean, we've had people come off the ship this morning that have come in from South Africa. So they must have had a hell of a journey to get to us to come off the ship into the UK. But our priorities are getting people home, home safely, and as I say, the fact that business is doing well is secondary in all of this.
Well, I'm on the outer deck of the Pride of Rotterdam. If we just swing round here, you can see behind me the Pride of York, and between them, these two ships will be carrying something like 2,500 passengers out of Hull tonight. And both of them have been providing a vital service to holidaymakers stranded both here in Britain and those trying to get back into this country. Hotels in Hull have seen a huge increase in overseas visitors seeking a bolt hole before catching the ferry home. And for Dave Williams, a taxi driver in Hull for 30 years, business has never been better.
The best time where you seem to have good runs around Christmas time, so you could say Christmas has come early for quite a few taxi drivers in the area. So hopefully, yes, it can carry it well. But for being selfish and everything, yeah, hopefully that we can carry on a few more weeks or a few more days at least.
It might take a lot longer than a flight, but for these passengers in the current climate, An overnight ferry trip is a perfect alternative if it means getting home.
David Hurst reporting there. Now, if you have got a story to tell us about the travel chaos, then please get in touch.
Yes, you can contact the Calendar News hotline on 0845 121 1000 and leave a message at any time. Make sure you give us your name and daytime telephone number so that we can get back to you. We look forward to hearing all your stories.